So Paul Ryan, this is how bad things are in the Republican Party. Paul Ryan is considered the serious smart guy in the Republican Party.
The guy who can't do math? That guy?
That guy. Paul Ryan, who was such a huge liar that when he gave his speech at the 2012 convention, remember he was the vice presidential candidate, he lied so often, FoxNews.com called him out for it. FoxNews.com said that it was one of the biggest lying speeches they'd ever seen. Also, guess what? Tom Brokaw, America's favorite kerchiefed reporter, said we kept referring to Paul Ryan's speech as an overreach, and we've done videos on that. So that was fun. So now he's the guy holding up. He hasn't endorsed Trump yet, right? Because he said that
which is the only respectable thing about him.
They're the only respectable. So now it's like, oh, we got to get the respectable guy. No, he's also a knuckleheaded moron who got caught lying by FoxNews.com. That's how bad he was in 2012. Remember, they were also saying stuff like, hey, we're going to win because the polls are all wrong. Remember that? That was this guy when they were living in a fantasy land, remember? And then the Republicans had to have a prescription. They had a study group to figure out what's wrong with them. Why they keep losing to black guys for president by big margins. So, and Paul Ryan proposed a ban on endorsing hate mongers until, quote, we figure out what's going on here. He didn't say that. But Paul Ryan, this is what he said before. This is after May 5th when it looked like we knew Trump was going to be the nominee. He goes on with Jake Tapper of CNN, and here's what he had to say.
Well, to be perfectly candid with you, Jake, I'm just not ready to do that at this point.
Means endorse Donald Trump.
There right now, and I hope to, though, and I want to. But I think what is required is that we unify this party. And I think
Paul Ryan. See, here's the thing about Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan is a leader. So he takes the time to carefully deliberate before making a cowardly, unprincipled decision. That's Paul Ryan. This is him. So what else? What else has to happen for you to endorse him?
Look, the burden on unifying the party will have to come from our presumptive nominee. I don't want to underplay what he accomplished. He needs to be congratulated for an enormous...
He brought out lots of racists into the party. He humiliated everybody who calls themselves a Republican. He makes us embarrassed of our party leader. He's certainly would lose to anybody else except Hillary Clinton. I don't want to discount everything he's done. Everything he's done, like lowering the discourse, not only nationwide, worldwide. He's lowering. That's how powerful Donald Trump's BS is. He's lowering the discourse in politics. Look what he's accomplished. He's alienated every Hispanic from the Republican Party. Look what he's accomplished, right? He's made misogyny cool again. Look what he's accomplished. A lot of people before were afraid to say they wanted to have sex with their daughter in public. He's accomplished so much. People no longer even talk about his comb over. Look what he's accomplished. That's what I say his biggest accomplishments to date is getting people to stop talking about his hair. And people don't barely ever mention it. I'm the only guy still left talking about it. It's like if nobody talked about Chris Christie's weight anymore. Donald Trump pulled that off. So here we go.
Accomplishment for winning not now a plurality of delegates, and he's on his way to winning a majority of delegates. But he also inherited something very special. That's very special to a lot of us.
Oh, really?
This is the party of Lincoln, of Reagan, of Jack Kemp.
And of David Duke. Let's remember that. It is also the party of David Duke. Now for sure. And now it's the party of David Duke and white nationalists. Oh, man, it always was.
And we don't always nominate a Lincoln and a Reagan every 4 years.
No?
Oh, really?
No? You're saying Mitt Romney wasn't? And John McCain and Sarah Palin, they weren't the... Lincoln. A Lincoln. Here we go.
But we hope that our nominee aspires to be Lincoln and Reagan-esque. That person advances the principles of our party and appeals to a wide, vast majority of Americans. And so
the principles of our party, shitting on those who are less fortunate, demonizing people with no money and no power, and serving money and power, and screwing over workers.
And winning instead of governing.
Like when we win, Then we poison everybody's drinking water because we could save a few bucks.
Just whenever a Republican says we're the party of Lincoln, I'm like, what do you know about Lincoln? Because I got to tell you, I don't think it's what you think it is.
Yeah, so Lincoln, by the way...
he freed the slaves.
Let's
He
remember,
didn't keep the slaves going.
He freed the slaves, which made all the current Republicans turn Democrat until Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act. Then they switched back. That's the party of Lincoln? Yeah, you all left that party because of Lincoln. And I love how they say that now, right? Well, the party of Lincoln... Yeah, you hated him and you left. That's why you guys had a war. I don't know if you remember. You guys seceded. The party of Lincoln.
But it's good branding. That's what he always...
Yes.
I think what is necessary to make this work, for this to unify, is to actually take our principles and advance them. And that's what we want to see. Saying we're unified doesn't in and of itself unify us, but actually taking the principles that we all believe in, showing that there's a dedication to those, and running a principle campaign that Republicans can be proud about.
Running a principle campaign that Republicans can be proud about. Well, if you say it fast enough, it's almost like it didn't happen.
I don't know why this year's any different.
Running a principle campaign.
You mean is a principled campaign
that we could be proud of.
Is that when they hate Mexicans?
Yeah,
is that a part of the principles?
Well, I guess that's one of the principles. And this, by the way, this is the guy called out by FoxNews.com for lying so much at the Republican convention. Also, he's so principled, he was the vice president to Mitt Romney, who said 40% of the country are just moochers. Remember that? That's how principled, and they could be proud of it. They could be proud of it. This is what they're proud of. By the way, Mitt Romney, again, a horrible flip-flopper, horrible liar. That's just what we're left with in America. Hang on, he's got more to say.
And that can actually appeal to a majority of Americans. That, to me, is what it takes to unify this party.
Yeah, he wants to unify the Republican Party. He wants to unify the racist assholes with just the regular assholes. That's what's called unity in the Republican Party. I could not offer my support for Donald Trump before discussing policies and basic principles. That's what he says. Yeah, really? You mean to make sure he doesn't have any? That's why you want to talk to Donald Trump, to make sure he doesn't have any basic principles? Because he doesn't. By the way, Paul Ryan. So Paul Ryan, after saying all that stuff, Paul Ryan endorses Donald Trump. And this is why he said, through these conversations, I feel confident he would help us turn the ideas in this agenda into laws to help improve people's lives. Donald Trump is going to help improve your lives. By the way, Huffington Post pointed out that he said that 666 words in to an 806-word op-ed. Coincidence? Coincidence? He said it 666 words in. That is a coinkydink. By the way, Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666. Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Thank God you said that, because I didn't realize before.
And he says, that's why I'll be voting for him this fall. That's what he said. Paul Ryan said that. He wrote that in an op-ed in the Gazette Extra. So he really wanted everybody to hear it. That's how he endorses him. Ryan says he held out on his endorsement to help unite Republicans. Quote, and if we're going to unite, it has to be over ideas. According to Huffington Post, Trump himself has been cagey about what ideas he actually endorses, recently seeming to flip-flop on a pledge that he wouldn't touch Social Security. Paul Ryan says the reality is on the issues that make up our agenda, we have more common ground than disagreement. Paul Ryan says he has more common ground with Donald Trump than disagreement. That's your party. Congratulations. That's what happens after 20 years of Fox News. That's what happens after 50 years of the Southern strategy. This is what you're left with, pretending Donald Trump isn't a creep who makes people's skin crawl. That's what we're left with. That's what you're left with. And by the way, here's the guy who Paul Ryan has more common ground with than disagreement. You want to see who that guy is? It's this guy. You want to hear what he has to say when asked a regular question?
You answer first, and then Dad, you answer also. Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
There's your guy, creeping out his own daughter on national television. And she's super creeped out. She's like, what? Did you see the face? She's like, what the F did my father? Would you stop it with "you want to bang me"? Would you stop it, Dad? Oh. He's too unpresidential for his own family.
I just think it just celebrates his family values.
That's a family. That's right. That's the leader of the party of family values. If one of the values is wanting to bang your own daughter.
Well,
And
Evidently
publicly,
it is.
and publicly saying it. He says, what the F? And that's not the first time. That's another time.
Yeah.
He said something. This is different than the first time people thought about.
I just think it's appropriate that Paul Ryan's endorsement was like a limp handshake.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's no other way to respond to this man than like, I'm going to just kind of say something as tepid as possible in the penny saver, and
Yeah.
I'm going to try to put this chapter behind me.
Paul Ryan.
And by the way, once Paul Ryan endorsed, he got his kids back.
That's funny.